a couple of weeks ago, you and your group grappled with the concept of tunnels having multiple shafts and also developed somewhat of a fixation on polished hardwood shafts that were covered in sap being used to shore up the tunnel you were navigating.
You
You
sure you didn't
started
write
off,
this after drinking half a, bottle or something?
nope, I wrote it in a lunch break.
Multiple wooden shafts covered with, like, sap. Yep.
That was made up because someone rolled a fucking stupid perception roll on the age of the timber or whatever the hell it was that was being investigated through a lick. Don't blame me for that. So all of that kicked off by stepping through a knoll hole. More specifically, Alia leading the way through the hole that the knolls were heading towards. Um, and then as Alia and Jake were heading towards the fascinating shafts, um, they set off a pressure pad that then led to an explosion behind them that pummeled the fuck out of Jonas and Zachary. Um, some quite high rolls and astute investigation revealed that it was in fact a fail-safe to collapse the tunnel behind whoever was triggering that pressure pad. Seemingly, from joining the dots, seemingly there for the Knolls who were possibly trying to exit through that hole to set off behind them and collapse the tunnel, so that you guys would never have actually found your way here, but you did because you stopped them from exiting. So navigating into the smaller side shaft, you stealthily found yourselves underneath what turned out to be Starry Night Jewelers. And you heard a conversation above that clearly identified the shop with a buyer trying to negotiate a cheaper price on some gems that they were attempting to purchase in the shop. Not having been there yourselves, you had to piece that together from what you could hear underneath the floorboards. You saw a large red X painted on the floor that was directly above your heads. Um, and having backed out a bit away from the conversation that you could hear, hit by inspiration, and then rolling out the beach towel sized map that was recovered from the Knoll Cave, Zachary came to the realization that it appeared to be a map that was on that. Sorry, you knew it was a map, but the map appeared to be marking a tunnel underneath many of the shops in the world between, and that some of those shops were marked with an X and some were marked with an O, and it was clear that that shop had an X on the floorboards. Your group decided to head back out the tunnels, and you you brought Gregory the Golem back to life, much to the delight of Glimmer, by providing her with his heart gem, and bringing her that joy. You also were able to claim your reward from her store in that process. And after some discussion, Glimmer agreed to keep the Knoll Hole entrance temporarily open, if somewhat covered, but not permanently bricked or blocked up, with Gregory standing guard until you returned. And you saw what had been a bit confusing initially, but you saw through some magical means that Gregory shrunk himself down, jumped down into the cellar, and headed off to do that work. So he obviously had some means of growing and reducing his size. Finally, you headed to Mort. You showed him the map and the several new items you'd recovered from the Knoll Cave, and the more specifically the who appeared to be the Knoll leader, the weird looking wizard hat and the funnily glowing rope. You left after some conversation to take a long rest, and while you did that, Mort studied each of those items. Um, when you all headed off to your own personal bedrooms, and we found out what they looked like back on Old Earth. And the exception was Jake, who curled himself into the laps of the drunken and almost comatose B1 and B2, and in Jake's words, folding himself into a B burrito. Um, and so that's where we finished up, with a reminder that just for organizational purposes, Mort identified the rope and the hat before you went to sleep. They've been allocated to people. You guys sorted that out. So they're with whoever they're with. And you know what they are. Um, and so as you're coming to wakefulness in your rooms or on your laps, what would you guys like to do?
I want to hear more about what's doing with the map that Mort has been feverishly looking over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Plus, if
Hi,
we're
Mort.
waking up, then breakfast
Coffee, please.
or coffee.
All right. So, Jake, you actually come to wakefulness first, having not actually being in your room. So the smells of the familiar smells of Mort cooking and the now installed coffee machine on the counter that was requested by Fokionis. Those smells hit you first. And when you wake up, you find that whilst B2, Manta, is still soundly asleep, um, B1, who is the closest lap to you. So, okay, yep, that's she's not dropped out.
I
Did
did.
come back.
Oh, fuck. I got OneNote open so I can't see it. So, thank you for letting me know.
Should I pick a different
Jesus.
sound, or is that one okay?
Nah, man, it
Effective.
does. It's very effective.
Does
Oh
what
my
the fuck?
God.
Says.
Yeah, it cuts through. It's definitely got cut
I
through.
don't know why it's doing it though.
I've got a sneaky 5 now that, like, on the side that Race is going to drop out 2 or 3 more times just to hear me fucking blast the horn in your ear because it's shits and the gigs.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be
I
looking
had
at
it-
no, she's
Oh
there.
no, my router came undone. Oops.
Yeah, it's the cats again.
Cats.
Dude, it actually probably wouldn't surprise me
I
that
dead
they're
set
doing
thought that's what it
something
was.
along the chord line.
So Jake, as you wake up, so you find that B2 is still soundly asleep, but B1 is just Ward is staring sadly towards the door, and he's obviously awake before anyone else, and he's clearly a bit hungover, but not perhaps as much as you would have expected. And seeing you wake, just really hesitantly and quietly, and not really sure of himself, asks you, Mr. Jake, if it's not too much to ask, when you have some time, could I trouble you to help me look for my family? They should be somewhere in the living quarters around this town. I think it's called the Commons. I was told they'd meet me after we finished up in the dungeon, but my memory feels a bit fuzzy about who told me. It's probably the booze, but it feels really janky. But and also, like, could we use your public shower? Because I mean, we don't smell great. And just looking at you, really, like, he's wringing his hands. He's obviously taken some time to build up this courage, and you having used him as a pillow for the night. It's hoping for a positive response from Jake.
You know those smiles you give when you're still half asleep? You just do it without thinking.
Mhm.
I would like to do that, looking up at him. I'm sure we can do that. What else are we gonna do with our time? Go back into a dungeon?
Oh, thank you, and they're just that, like, there's you could just see that all the tension that he'd built up, and however long it's taken him to ask this question, sort of drops away with relief, and yeah, you've provided him some definite peace of mind with your response.
And for the showers, yeah, go ahead. And if you need any help, let me know.
Oh, thank you. But I think at the moment we'll be okay. I might need some help with this one. And with that, he gently moves you so that you're still laying there looking up at him, and picks up unceremoniously picks up the other slumbering bee, and half carrying, half dragging him, heads instantly hearing the yes. He's heading towards that public shower room, and they're walking through it. And you see the second bee, Manta, wake up in the middle of the cleansing. They're clothed, much to your disappointment, I'm sure. But they're certainly experiencing the public cleaning array and making the most of it. It was a hell of a way for Manta to wake up.
I would like to shout at them. You know, it works better with the clothes off, right?
you sort of see half cupping ears and then a thumbs up, and the Ward removes the top half of his clothes, keeps the bottom half on for his own reasons, but and he's pretty jacked. The life of a bandit is obviously one that it lends itself to plenty of physical exercise. And he does the same to Manta, who's sort of half sitting, like the drunken hungover shower recovery sit. It manages to get his top half off with looks almost identical. There's some different scars on them, but you've already noticed that they're pretty damn identical in that the way they've been put together. Just one standing and one is semi slumped with you can't quite see what they're saying to each other. You can't, and maybe you can read lips, but it looks like a general series of abuse is coming from the lower person to the one standing. But they kept their bottom halves on.
I feel like I can catch an extra few winks before everyone else comes down.
Jake heads back to nap in the booth. All right, so the rest of you guys are coming out of the rooms. There's food cooking. Mort's nowhere to be seen at the moment, but whomever, Fokionis was the first one who mentioned coming out, so I'd suggest you're probably the one who exit your room first. There's coffee ready. There's piles of brekkie burgers. You've got various different make it yourself this time round. So there's your, what definitely is bacon, what appears like it might be some sort of sausage produce. The round eggs that have either been poured out of a container or cooked in a circular egg ring. Muffins, like there's just your basic fast food, junk food, but it's been laid out in pieces for make your own as opposed to all assembled for you. So you've got a smorgasbord of options available to you with your coffees.
Mort, my good man, have you got any of the mushrooms, maybe?
Mort sticks his head out of the kitchen. It looks like he's actually like suds and stuff he was actually cleaning up, and just half a glare at you like, yes, of course, the mushrooms.
Come on, Mort.
And then you hear fucking red and shit, and the smell of freshly cooking mushrooms in butter hits your nostrils as they start getting cooked in the pan.
No.
And all the while you can hear this undertone of indecipherable fucking mushroom. Yeah, I'm grateful fucking mushroom as coming out of the kitchen.
Mort,
Egg, did you just see what I put in Discord?
A link?
Log in or sign up to it. All right, I'll come back to that.
You literally have to see it.
Okay.
Great job.
It perfectly explains what.
So, Fokionis, as you come out, you had that conversation with Mort. You've got the rest of the stuff there available. Jake, you can see Jake's legs stretching out from behind the booth. You can see the two half-naked bees in the public shower cubicle. They're in the cleaning array, looking like there is just all sorts of dirt and blood and crap just sloughing off them, disappearing down the drain. Already looking a lot better than what they were the last time you saw and smelled them.
There, I'm going to recreate Noah's Ark, but in breakfast form, as I work down the line to get 2 by 2 on my plate.
Yep. So there's just this heaping mile of muffins and bacon and eggs, and as you're nearing the end of it, Mort just comes and dumps the still sizzling frying pan full of bacon and butter. Doesn't even put it in a serving container. It's there with a spoon.
Oh God, man, they're so good. I'll lean over and try to give Mort a kiss. I'm sure he reacts.
Lost Alia. Sorry, I didn't. I'm just letting you know so you don't blow my eardrums out again. I know she's gone, but she's in Twitch at the moment.
I didn't know that she had gone.
I
was not sitting on that button waiting.
Yeah, good. I'm sorry to hear, Racer. If it maybe I know it sounds stupid, but reboot it, turn it off and on again, see if it reconnects your It's surprisingly effective with the NBN. I shit you not. Oh no, she's back. All right, oh, you back in, so it kept your link. So Zachary, I would imagine at this point, oh, dude, fuck you. I would imagine at this point that that you've emerged from your. Well, actually, no. What's your? I shouldn't assume that because you've got to probably have your first of 27 visits to the toilet for the day. So I should probably not assume that as Zachary.
Yeah. Gotta have your morning shit first. And
Morning
All right,
brown.
Zachary heads off for his morning routine. Even not even needing the coffee to get it moving. He's that slippery. He's got himself sorted. Yep. And freshly cleaned
and
up.
yeah,
There's nothing
just clean up, wash
new
my
on the
hands,
walls. Yep, good.
and then like properly. Then yeah, grab some breakfast, whatever Ernest leaves behind, and
Oh, there is a lot of food there. Mort has, as his normal want, especially in light of how much Alia ninja shit, he has overcated.
Let me stop you there. No such thing.
And no, he's no problem with the
Let me introduce
shoveling.
my friend here. Yeah. Alia!
Perfect timing for the entry of Alia into the breakfast buffet.
Look, we make sure no breakfast gets left behind.
I feel like breakfast is becoming the new mine shaft at the moment.
you're gonna have to start taking bacon damage.
Don't make me start talking about your sausage.
Bacon damage. Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah.
I mean, chipolatas, hello.
Okay, so Alia enters the scene with Bocchionis encouraging her to not leave any breakfast behind. What would you like to do there?
Oh, yeah, because it needs encouragement.
Well, I want to ask her while she's actually connected to the to the call before she drops out again.
Well, I presume I'm still entering the room, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna come out, rubbing my eyes, sniffing the air,
And
following the scent,
yep, it hits your nostrils.
and I just walk up. I grab a plate and I just pile and pile and pile.
So at this point, you guys have just lost sight of Alia behind the stack of food that she has on her plate, dwarfing even the serving that Fokionis had brought across for himself. All right, you've got your breakfast. Let's call breakfast well and truly served.
I'm gonna sit with Fock.
That's right. We're gonna talk about the quality of breakfast.
Yep, go for it.
I'm gonna smother it all in maple
Not
syrup.
bad spread. Could do with scrambled eggs, maybe.
Mort is scowling at you with his one good eye. Like he's prepped. He had all of this ready when you came out, and you've hit him up for mushrooms, and now you're coming at him for different types of. He's not saying
I
anything.
mean, that's my fault because the oversight was on me.
If Mort had the ability, you may well be one fucked up half orc at this point. Just from the body language, even your limited perception picks up on that distinct feeling.
What's wrong with Mort? Did he go into the bathroom after Zach?
And Mort gives his best Roy Kent impersonation with a and heads back into the kitchen. All right, so you've got your brekkie, you've got your food. Jake, at this point, you're the only one who's aware of what Ward had spoken with you about. And the rest of your compatriots are currently eating while you're still trying to catch a few extra winks on the booth.
Well, I can't now, can I? They're busy talking about food and all other things, and it's terrible to sleep. Terrible. So Jake will also get up, but he's going to grab 3 plates and start piling some up for the bees as well. Lots of carbohydrates.
Very kind of you.
And lots of
so
coffee.
So everybody is well and truly breakfasted. In the midst of all your conversation, the bees finish in the shower. Manta's still very much the worse for wear and being half kind of carried by Ward. But they're back, they're dressed. Ward expresses he seems to be a little bit marginally less stressed and a bit more relaxed around Jake at this point. The rest of you can see all of that, and Jake, you definitely notice it, and expresses that appreciation quietly for the food, and starts hoeing into it himself. And every now and then, will just kind of reach over and shove bacon or something into Manta's who's sitting back, kind of half trying to go to sleep, half trying to wake up in his semi-comatose state. He is clearly the one who did most of the imbibing of the empties that have now all been cleared away by Mort overnight. So you've got your food. The map that you had been looking at has been laid out by Mort, and there is a little note that is tied around. So it's laid out. It's got a little folded note that just has on there. I feel like you written on that strangely neat cursive that you've noticed from Mort's writing in the bathroom, that is just really at odds with his big, thick, heavy Care Bear hands and general sort of half stumbling demeanor because of the waddle he has to have with his current form. But it just says that I've done as much as I can. I'm sure you'll probably all need a bathroom break after breakfast around 10 a.m. And that's what's written on the note that goes with that map. And so when you look at it on the table, it's very clear now, and I can switch it over if you like, but it's essentially that same thing as what I showed you with it's very obvious of the world between. The line is marked in red. I should have sent it to you guys. If we get a pause, I will send it to you. You can see a very clear path that is marking off what you found underneath. You can see the bits that you did see through to the jewelers, and then there is a pathway underneath a variety of other shops, and there's little notes there that Mort has stuck on there that sort of indicate that, these shops that are marked with an X don't have a cellar, and that the ones that are marked with an O do, which matches up with what you've seen and what you came to the realization of, Zachary, and shared with your group, that the O's matched up with the explosion in the cellar, the holes that have been blown in through the, rather simplistic, not smart knolls. And then the X was marked on the floorboards of the shop that didn't have the cellar. And in terms of the time, from when you guys went to bed and took your rest, it's currently somewhere around 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. So Mort's in the kitchen doing his thing. He's got his little note that strongly suggests that you have a bathroom break around 10 a.m. But you've got your food and you've got a couple of hours to kill at the moment, and obviously your items as well that you had identified last night. So what do you guys want to do?
I want to stop humming the X's and O's song in my head.
It wasn't until you just said that. Please don't play it. I've got to take that out on YouTube if you do. Oh.
Right, I might go visit the bathroom. This coffee has kicked in,
Yep. So head off to do that. To let you guys know. So again, essentially the two choices you've got about 2 hours from the time, if you would like to, all find your way into the bathroom at that 10 o'clock time. You've got a couple of hours before that. If you would like to do anything in that time, let me know. But if you sort of want to just skip ahead to that, we can do that as well. I just need to know what you want in that regard.
I have something I want to do.
Yep. So Fiona says headed off to the toilet, and Jake?
Obviously, I've been asked to assist a bee, and as a definitely good rogue, definitely good at this, I would like to spend that time up until the bathroom break just kind of looking around and trying to gather information about, you know, people, locations, that kind of stuff within the town itself.
All right. And so you're heading out of Mort's to try and find that info?
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Can you give me, you can make a choice because it's up to you how you would go about gathering that information. But just how much you can find in that limited, 2-hour time frame, getting back by 10 o'clock. Give me either an intelligence or a perception. You can choose because it's up to Jake how he goes about trying to gather that information with the
Intimidation.
conversations that he has. Intimidation. Look, I will give you that there are quite a few people now milling around that are not crawlers. You will you certainly be able to find some in the different courtyards. Give me your intimidation roll, and I'll give you some flavor as to what you find out and how.
One quick sec. My subscription ran out for D&D Beyond.
No worries. You do the roll however you would like. You can do it with real dice. You can do it however you want. While Jake's sorting that out, so Poccionus, as you go in, you notice the same thing that Zachary did, that there's nothing new in the bathroom at the moment. And you go about your business,
It's about
realizing
to
that
be.
it's not 10 o'clock yet. So do what you need to do. There's not a whole lot to look at that's new.
Okay.
How does a 26 for intimidation sound?
It sounds absolutely amazing. So
Right.
you in kind of skimming out, you don't have to go too far, and you find this really small little tiefling. Not sure whether it's like young woman or girl. It's an odd looking race that you're not super familiar with. It very demonic looking, blue skin, horns coming out of their head, but not very large. Just straight black hair, very plain clothes, and carrying this wicker basket of some produce, but it's definitely not full. And in your interactions with this tiefling, who just through your presence you scare the living shit out of, just with your demeanor and the way you can grow your shape and your form and the weapons you've got strapped around your person. Stammeringly tells you that what Ward had mentioned, the commons is what he thought he was looking for. That if you head out the northeastern gate, which is the one closest to Mort's safe room, that's where the commons were. But and actually, before I give you the rest of it, how much would you have told about why you were asking this question? Just before I say the next bit. Sorry, are you muted, Lee?
Yes, I was. I probably would have mentioned that I was looking into it for a friend.
Okay. So the last bit you get, sorry, finish.
Oh no, it's okay. Keep going.
Is that she's not sure who your friend is, but or what they're looking for the commons for. Very, very confused about the question, and that it may not be quite what they expect.
What do they mean by that?
I'll give you with your 26 that that if they're expecting to find a residence, that it's more of a ghost town than a thriving precinct. And she scurries away with that, heading towards goodness knows where, but very keen to get away from your presence. I was not expecting to roll that high or do intimidation. That was pretty cool. So you know where it is. In terms of where you are on the map, it's essentially those buildings that are sort of detached a bit directly above the warehouse. The map's slightly deceptive, and they're actually multi-story buildings. is what was described to you with your 26. And they're directly outside the gates, but they're those buildings that are near the tree that are detached from the world between inside the wall area itself.
Hmm.
So with that high of a roll, you found that person quite rapidly. You've probably got another, yeah, and you're just outside of the safe room around that tree. You've probably got about an hour before before Mort's 10 a.m. if you want to make that meeting.
I might go quickly scope out the space, not try to interact with anyone, but just see if it's, a bad area where I will find definitely better rogues than me.
So are you just sort of strutting there? Are you trying to be stealthy about it?
No.
Just strolling
Just
out.
strolling out.
Yeah. So when you get there, the basics of what you see, because you're also looking around to, sussing out whether you see anybody. I'm looking at your passive stats at the moment.
They're not good.
Anyone anyone around is concerning, but it's you can't see anybody else there. There's a one large and one small building. They're multi-story. There's a little timber sign that's very nicely carved into timber and painted that says the Commons. And the buildings from the outside look quite nice and well made, and they almost look like sort of the world between version of what you knew as high rises and kind of high density living from Earth, but they're very much in the style of what you've seen with the more medieval architecture. But they're much taller than any of the other buildings you've seen, and a bit wider footprint that leads to like lots of windows that indicates there's what appears to be clearly a large number of dwellings in both of those buildings. But there is nobody around. If you would like to look for or investigate something specific, please let me know and we can roll for that. But you don't see anybody. You can see these really well made structures, but they appear to be, as the tiefling had said, a bit of a ghost town.
Are there any signs of life? Like, paths that seem more well traveled, or open door windows, food on tables?
Give me, it could be intelligence, or give me whatever you would like, whether it's an investigation or perception, and I'll let you know what you find in that regard. You make the choice and just tell me
12
what you investigation. So poking around a little bit with your 12, it does take you most of the hour, so you are getting close to 10 o'clock. Didn't take you long to walk out there. It was really nearby to your conversation, but looking for those signs of life, and you don't pick up on anything. Like even a couple of windows that were sort of partially ajar or maybe made ajar with your accidental knocking of them, and looking through, like some of the rooms appear to be furnished, others are not. It's very much looks like a mud flap residence. It's very shiny on top, but there's not much underneath. It's very unfinished and very incomplete, and it seems very much like a facade that, at least from what you can see, does not appear to have seen much in the way of life at all.
Oh no. That's a big oh no. I'll probably begin to meander back, taking my time,
Yep. All right, I'll bring you back. Yep. So for the rest of you, eating, drinking, is there anything else that you guys want to do or check out before we hit that 10 o'clock mark while Jake's on his way back?
Nope.
Don't
I
believe
probably took a nap after that breakfast.
So with Alia asleep, face down in a kind of tilted half to the side, maybe moved that way by Foccionis to allow her to breathe through the bacon. You guys see at about 5 to 10, Mort just walks into doesn't look at any of you guys, just tea towel over his shoulder, walks into the bathroom entrance and doesn't emerge from there. You don't see him come back out. He went in there at about 5 minutes to 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. 10 a.m. rolls around. What would you guys like to do? At this point, Jake still hasn't arrived back.
Yeah, I'm just go in. We sort of like stagger at entrance, so it's not like sus, you know.
So are you guys having this conversation? Are you saying
No,
this, Zach?
no,
Okay.
like telepathically,
Above the
I
table.
tell everyone else.
Bro, he goes in there so often. Why would I want to follow him straight in? Oh my god.
So Foccionis is the only one awake at the moment, and he sees Zachary kind of doing these gestures
Yeah,
that
it's like that.
without saying a single word before he heads off to the bathroom. Ali is still asleep. She has missed all of that. Foccionis, you can decipher from it what you will. But
Foccionis knows
Zachary,
what
I
I
mean, it
mean.
could be constipation. You'd be a bit surprising with Zachary how often he goes to the toilet, but
I think
could
he's
be.
got high fiber diet, so all good there.
So Zach's now in there. He's disappeared through the entryway. Foc, what are you doing?
I'm going to follow because I'm a curious creature.
All right. So Foccionis heads on in. Jake, you come in to see.
I love the fact that nobody's bothered to wake me up.
I know. So Jake, you come in to see that nobody else at the moment. You're a couple of minutes past 10 a.m. You've made it back from your investigations. You see Alia asleep in a plate full of bacon and detritus, and nobody else there. Like, it's very clear that apart from the bees, who were just quietly chatting amongst themselves, and one trying to feed the other and sober him up, but Alia is asleep, and the rest of your group is not currently in view. What would you like to do?
I will walk over to Alia and grab like the scuff of her neck and turn my nose up at this disgusting raccoon in front of me. I would like to point at the bees. We're going to talk when I get back. And then I will carry the dirty raccoon into the bathroom.
So Jake enters the bees. One is just sort of semi-coherently seeing you. The other one is very intent and nods in your direction before focusing back in on his friend. So Ward is very conscious of what you'd said. Manta is completely oblivious. And Jake heads into the bathroom. So when you walk through, Jake, like Morton, Foccionis and Zachary are kind of standing in a bit of an uncomfortable silence. For the other two of you, Mort had basically just said he only wants to go through it once, and he's a little bit waiting impatiently for the others to arrive. He sees both of you see Jake just walking through with Alia, who's now coming to semi-consciousness. Mort goes to say something, then looks around at all of you, walks out the door, and then comes back in moments later, shaking his head with the map that he had laid out on the table that no one had grabbed, and sticks that up on the whiteboard. So what you guys get from Mort, just looking at the time, I'm going to give you the summary version of this. So what he explains to you guys is that with the map, and he's pointing to different things as you are going through it, and as he's like marking and noting things, and he transcribes it essentially onto the whiteboard really accurately so that there's a copy on the board, like one of the many walls inside that room, as well as the copy that you guys have on the animal hide. He basically reiterates to you guys what he thinks it is, which we've covered a few times now, about the gnolls appear to be targeting those stores and marking them and have something in play that he's not entirely sure of. From what you described to him of the tunnels, he's pretty confident that they had some assistance, because they're, as he explained it to you guys, that you guys basically encountered some sort of knoll leader and some dummies that he had with him of various types, and gives you the basics of the gnolls, that they only speak the one language. They're really good in the dark, but they're pretty thick, but work well as a pack. So he's pretty confident that while they may be the tool, they are not necessarily the brains behind the operation. But the gist of what he gets across to you guys, just in the interest of time and brevity, is that he can see a real potential that the map itself seems to indicate that there may be a way of getting into the castle. The castle is where the AI is housed in each instance, and it's normally impenetrable. So he is very keen for you guys to suss out whether there is actually a way of using what you've discovered and the fact that the tunnel hasn't been collapsed, to see if there's a way of getting through and maybe using some of this information with the anarchists to move things forward with the information you provided, to see if there's something at the end of that tunnel that may lead to like an entrance into the castle that is otherwise unable to be accessed. Among us. The other
Cool.
thing is, Jake, you came in late to the party while he was sort of waiting, and you sort of looked and go, "Where have you been?"
Up
Bacon
into the
stuck in
commons.
You looked at the commons. Why?
I
Genuinely confused.
just it's like the bees mentioned it, so I figured I'd go check it out, and it's a
Wait.
shithole. It's empty. There wasn't
That-
even a coffee shop.
It is empty. One of them remembered it. You have definitely got Mort's attention with this.
If I say yes, what will happen to them?
Nothing. This is incredibly positive. Oh, for once, your fucking insatiable desire to collect pets may lead to something. This is all under his, but you can clearly hear it. Like, you have bought so much shit. You bought dogs, rats, people, fucking everything into his safe room.
Water manta are not pets. They are people.
With that, just to you, just straight at you, Jake, you can see that one eye of Mort's with a raised eyebrow just looking straight through you. Doesn't say anything. But there is a distinct feeling of Mort calling some bullshit on that. But he doesn't say anything. So what you get from Mort is the tone is getting almost excited as it was when you brought in cheese. That essentially what Mort expresses to you, that the people like Warden Manta are not actually designed to exit the dungeon. They're constructs, as you guys had as a lore dump when you entered the dungeon. So you're all aware of this. You don't need any rolls for this. It's honestly just a reminder. But they were constructed from materials from past crawls, from resources that have been garnered from Earth, and they're constructed for each of the crawls. So they've had, like in Westworld, they've had a whole bunch of different lives, experiences, deconstructed, reconstructed. So in this instance, they're Ward and Manta. Before that, goodness knows what they were. But the fact that there's some sort of sparking of sentience there, some sort of sparking of memory, Mort sees that as a distinct opportunity to increase the load on the AI, because it is not prepped to be dealing with it's NPC constructs that start kind of picking at the thread of things that they know to be true, but they would never, that there's no backstory or history to them because it's all superficial. They were never designed to get out of the dungeon, so they were never really designed to be having this conversation with you about their family or trying to find them or actually trying to reach this commons that they'd been imprinted with, that every crawl, that's where they could find their family, which is essentially just a placeholder ghost town that you found. Mort was really surprised that you had heard the name, and it seems extremely eager for you to explore this. And and with the B1s and B2s, and the final bit Mort says is that if you can convince them, and be careful because you may just break them, but if you can convince them and others that they are who they really are, and that they are these artificial constructs, the load that will place on the AI will be immense. And the more you can do that with, the more we can try and overload that fucker. This is amazing. He's genuinely excited at this. This has come out of nowhere a bit for Mort, that you have potentially opened this avenue of what might be really difficult to navigate, but convincing Ward and potentially Manta of the actual nature of their being, that they're not really real in the same sense as you guys are, that they're constructs and they're being used over and over and over again. And you can do with that what you will, but he's hoping that you will work with them and any other NPCs that you can to convince them of their explain to them their situation and convince them of that. And he'll take in any that you find. Mort has just done a 180 on your pet collection with that bit of information.
Does this mean we're gonna start collecting people?
I mean, to be fair, you already are. You're collecting fucking everything you can.
2 is not a collection. 3 is.
So Brutus, Rathu. If we just go Ivy/Jake, Rathu, B1, B2, then we go Brutus. It's up to you guys what you do with that information. But Mort is almost as excited as he was, about the information about the castle and potentially what might be at the end of that tunnel and what might be able to be done with that info, with what you've revealed there, Jake, that there might be a spark of an ability to work another angle to attack this AI.
Right, above the table conversation. What are we doing? Which way? Which thing are we pursuing?
I don't want to break B1 and B2. I want them to be happy.
Amy.
They're not real.
They're real at the moment.
I feel like we should cut to a Will Smith
they're-
segue where he's walking down a line of robots. No? Just me.
I mean, showing them the empty commons, I feel like that could help convince them.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I might just wig out and explode though.
So then we only take one of them.
Well, that's a good plan.
So we have a spare.
Yeah, we take Ward since he's the one that asked. Manta, I feel like, is still drunk enough to not notice him gone.
Go on.
But then we'll have left him without his best friend.
I feel like if we give him some good food and lay him down, though, he could definitely use some more sleep.
Is that your cat? Whose cats are they?
That's my cat.
What?
But B1 or B2 complaining about losing their other half?
I'm going to have a hard time not referring to them as
How did that go? B1.
whoever
B1
the spare
comment,
is with
B2
Princess
found out.
Harry, Prince Harry at the moment. Ward and Manta just became William and Harry. No, they didn't. That's off the cuff smart arsery. Don't change the names. Anyway, around the cat conversations that are happening in the ambiance, as Grebo is rubbing himself around your feet in the bathroom. Mort does say to you guys that that probably need to wrap up and start exiting so that you don't draw any suspicion. And the last piece of information he drops to you is that the the more that you can do to overload the AI, it essentially has all of these subroutines that do things automatically, including the handling of the NPCs. So it's not actively monitoring every single thing all of the time. So you do have leeway to do things like entering into the bathroom and being unseen and unrecorded, because that's part of the conditions of that space. But you don't want to overuse it. But it does give you that privacy. It gives your group the chance to plan and speak and etc. without being overheard by the AI or anybody else who might be watching the crawl.
All right. Well, let's try.
Reverse order.
All right, I'll go first then.
Did you come to a decision on what you're going to do
Mid-water,
before you
mate.
start walking out?
Yeah,
Um,
we're gonna show him the commons, weren't we? one of them.
Before Mort walks out, can
Questions?
I quickly throw out the idea that it might be a safer plan that could still override the AI if we continue to build Water Manta as complex human beings? Because AI sucks at emotion and, people. When they start getting complex.
You can try, but you'll probably find that they essentially have a pre-built. Just trying to figure out how to explain that. At each level, you have things that you can do, and you have stats for your character, and you have things that you level up and get better at. They have what they're built with. You can try, but you may not be able to push past who they currently are without something to jar them. But this is new ground. Anything you try is good with me. Anything that can make the AI work harder, please try it. Whatever you want.
Cool. And can someone watch the raccoon, please?
Was it? I believe she can wash herself. And he walks out. She says he is not going to attempt to bathe Alia. That's Mort's parting word as he exits through the shimmering barriers. So we've got Jake and Alia currently in there. What do you want to do, Jake and Alia? Fockionis and Zachary have already. Oh, actually, Fock's still there. Zach's exited. He exited first with his
No, I walked out backwards
attempts
'cause
to
it was
communicate,
reverse
even though he
order.
didn't have to, and staggered exit. Oh, look at
Guess
those
I'll have a
eyebrows go.
bath.
Very communicative.
That'll get everyone out real quick.
Get the
And
bacon
while
fat out
you're
of the
there,
fur.
Fockionis and Jake, Alia just shamelessly, no concern at all, just starts dropping off her gear and her leather armor and takes a bow off and the braces and is just dropping gear. You can't really see much of anything. Like the raccoon just covered in fur, but
Don't forget to
no
clean your
go.
tail.
Yes, Mum.
It's yes, daddy, thank you.
Remains to be seen if Alia respects that or not.
Oh,
All right, are you hanging around to ensure that she does a good job? Because once she heads in, it's going to be her own individual instance out of the foyer, or are you guys exiting? Fockionis and
Oh,
Jake.
excellent.
hanging around for that.
Is anyone taking the map off the wall? Mort left that. Sorry, just to let you guys know, he had that stuck up and he's traced it, but he has left that the hide map that you guys found that was given to you or you found through your searching and high rolls. Are you taking it or are you just leaving it in the bathroom?
Do we need it? I don't think we do. Just
We take it. Don't you just take a mental imprint like normal?
Mental imprint after his 18 trips to the toilet. Sorry, I'm too busy laughing at that picture.
I imagine
Uh,
that's how it went down.
Yeah,
With
we
that
should
much happiness.
take it just in case.
All right, so let's just take it as a given. Zachary, you exited first. You take it, roll it up. You've got that map with you.
Yeah.
All right. Ali's headed off for a shower, so the naked furry raccoon has just got and left all of her gear just dumped in the foyer. Headed off into the but took her satchel with her. She wasn't letting you dig around in her bag of rubbish. Jake, Fockianus, you guys exiting now that
Yeah, I
Ali
walked
has
out
headed off?
backwards because it was reverse order.
Yep. Okay.
In solid Fockianus.
All right. So unless there's something that you guys want to do while you're waiting for Alia, if there is, let me know. Otherwise, after Alia doesn't muck around in her efforts of bathing, but she does come out certainly looking and smelling better. Clearly had cleaned herself of some description and made use of the facilities, which are very rapid in their effects. You're currently all back in the safe room. You're stretched to the brim safe room with dogs and cats and rats, and the only thing that's missing is the Drake, who's still down in the dungeon.
Lions and tigers.
Sorry, not the dungeon, down in the knoll hole.
All right, what do we do? Are we going knoll holing, or what are we doing?
I need to go talk to Ward.
He is looking at you
Yeah,
very
we're-
expectantly and hopefully.
Yeah, we gotta sort the bees out first.
Yep. So
Well, I will motion for Ward to we'll go upstairs. We have personal-ish private quarters.
yeah, you able to invite haven't yet tried to bring an NPC through your personal space, but
I haven't been in my
you did
personal
say
space.
no, you haven't. It did say that you were about to get to that. You did say that you were able to invite others into that space. So you invite Ward through. He looks a bit hesitant to follow you. You just disappear into the shimmering entryway. And after a moment's hesitation, he kind of shrugs a little bit and then hesitantly steps. You can see that he's expecting something bad to happen, but he just steps through. He enters that shimmering behind you, and the others of you see Jake and Ward disappear from view. Jake, tell us what you walk into. We haven't yet experienced Jake's bedroom from Earth.
So you're immediately met with something that the party would find familiar, since it is legitimately Ivy's room again.
Did you guys hear that?
No.
I'm
Yeah,
not
sorry, I did-
kidding. When I say a car just went past my house, it must have done the horn or something, and it was like that weird horn.
It wasn't me, I promise. I didn't push.
Maybe you got a bit extra in your vape juice.
No,
Just
it went past my house. I heard the
I
sound of the
believe you.
car because my
I'm just
window's
fucking with you.
open.
So Jake, it's Ivy's room, that familiar space with the gaming area and the bit of a nest of gear for unused bed for Alia, but apparently a nest of clothes that it looks like a raccoon at some point has slept in what you've recreated. Is that right?
Yep, pink lights as well.
I forgot the pink lights.
It's very pink.
Interesting. So interestingly, not that any of the rest of you are seeing this, but for the rest of the viewers who may be watching your Team Chaos stream, they're seeing something very familiar as Jake has entered and recreated Ivy's room as his own personal space for his bedroom, and Ward is just sort of looking around a little bit in wonder. There's he's very confused looking over at the not working, but there's a computer sitting there and a gaming chair, and there's a whole lot of stuff that you can really safely assume, even with your low passives, that is very strange and odd to him. And he's just standing there right inside the entranceway. He hasn't moved after stepping through. Is everything okay?
I go and sit over on the bed and pat the space next to me and put my hands up to the face, serious expression kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's sort of, you see his shoulders drop a little bit, and he sits down and go, "It's okay. You don't have time." He's obviously very completely misunderstood, and is expecting bad news.
So I went to the Commons this morning.
Perks up.
I figured may as well not waste time. Go and find out as much as I can about it. Do you know how long you might have been in the dungeon? Do you know anything else about your family?
Days, weeks. There's no sun. It's very hard to tell. Plenty of food, plenty of water, lots of supplies. I don't know how long. I've got this, and he pulls out of his pocket and just really carefully unfolds this piece of parchment. So rather than hide, it's this really rough kind of paper, but it's it's in good condition and it's very clearly been looked after. And it was from a pocket that was seemed to be pretty padded and deep inside his cloak. And he unfolds it and opens it up, and you can see on there's this crayon drawing, and it's looking a bit odd. It's stick figures, but one of the figures is quite tall and is holding a sword and it's got a bandana around its head. And the other one is quite small and it's been drawn in blue and it's got like a little sword. And in this writing that is all kind of back to front and jumbled up, and there's letters missing. But it very roughly written, have a great day at work, Daddy. And he holds it out. He's my son gave me this. I don't know if it helps, but my son Warden made this. He's desperately keen to try and share something with you, but doesn't. I can tell you their names. I have a wife and a son. My wife's name is Tanisha. Did you see anybody called Tanisha? She's a little bit shorter than me, blonde hair.
I need you to take a breath.
Okay.
The Commons itself, at least the area that I looked at, didn't seem very active. There weren't many people. In fact, there was almost no one.
Maybe they were at the markets. Maybe you said the yellow bear said that you guys were really fast. Maybe they're not expecting me home yet. Maybe and he's just this starts going off onto this rambling of possible reasons why he doesn't seem to have taken in everything that you've said, and is just fixating on the fact that you didn't see his family. They weren't there. Where might they be?
Well,
He's very much caught on that.
here's the thing. I obviously don't know what your home looks like. So if it's all right with you, the rest of the party and me would like it if you could come with us to the Commons. Maybe we can find your house, maybe find some evidence of your family and like where they might be. But I want you to be prepared because it's also a possibility they might have moved to a different place or
Okay, and he stands up, he's straightening his coat, rebuckling his belt, like straightening everything up, fixes his bandana. Yes, if they've moved, they'll have left a message. I'm sure. I think we're level 3. Yes, and there's just this barrage. Please, yes. Do you have time now? Can we go now? Is it possible to go now?
This isn't like my son.
I need to just let the party know. And while I do that, just make sure that, your friend is okay and he'll be okay with staying here because, no offense, he does not look ready to go outside.
Yes, no problem. And it's out the door. So when you make your way out, Jake, whatever it is you do before you come out, but the rest of your group, you see Ward just come out and he's walking with a purpose. It's the first time you've actually seen him with square shoulders. You can see that he's more neatly attired than when he walked in. None of you really knew what to expect with disappearing with Jake. But a few minutes have passed and he's a man on a mission. Walks over and with confidence you never would have expected from him, just walks straight behind Mort's counter, brazen as you like, and just grabs the biggest bottle that he can barely hold of liquor. And as do you come straight back? Like are you pretty close on his heels, Jake, or do you spend a bit of time in the room?
Sorry.
I understand.
I'd be pretty close behind him.
All right. So as you come out, he nearly runs into you with just this huge bottle of something amber colored that has a picture of a sailing ship and some indecipherable language on the label. And it is nearly the length of an oar, like a paddle. And he is walking over to the table with it. He plonks it on the table, tips out a glass, wipes it on his sleeve, plonks it on the table in front of him, just all but rips the top off the bottle, smacks his friend in the face, and as the eyes sort of blearily open, points to the bottle, points to the glass, sloshes two-handed to pour a big glass, like almost schooner-sized glass full, pint size, so half a liter into a glass, and is like lifting it up to his friend's mouth, who starts drinking like not even intelligibly, just seems very happy with this sort of series of events. Looks over, then Ward looks over and goes, "He's good now. I got my friend sorted."
I might
he
quickly find
did
Mort
exactly what you asked.
and
He's ready.
apologize to Mort first before I go and find the party.
Mort watched all this and just, it's fine. It's fine. I think I know what you're doing. Good luck. He doesn't. He's not really sure. He's a bit uncertain, but I mean, Mort was on board with what anything you tried to do with these guys to help leverage, the smallest advantage. So he's not at all bothered by the intrusion behind his counter.
Oh, time to find the party before I talk again to Ward.
All right. Are the rest of you just sort of hovering? Anyone left?
Come here, you stinkies. Look who's the only one that bathed.
You don't know what they. Oh, anyway, never mind. That's up to you guys to defend yourselves or otherwise, not me.
So,
Fair enough.
I'm letting
Yeah,
you guys be ready for the commons as well. It is empty. There is nothing. And there is a high probability that that may or may not break B1.
What about B2?
B2 seems fine drinking.
He is
Cool.
halfway through his first schooner of indiscriminate liquor.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
I would like to try us to use the complex person before, trying the whole you're an AI strategy. If that would be all right with you guys.
That's good, eh?
Well, it's not
Not good?
not the craziest thing I've heard. So,
I mean, that's true.
well, the craziest thing that's happened in the past couple of weeks.
I think there's more going on here rather than just straight up just AI. This dude apparently thinks he has a wife and a kid.
Well, yeah.
Um,
I mean,
Maybe he does.
he's got like a
maybe he
hand-drawn
does.
picture from his kid. On the off chance that it's not just AI stuff happening, I don't know how you'd feel if you were told that your son does not exist and your wife, who you love, has never been there at all. So,
What if one AI likes another AI lots and they go for a... No? Oh, okay. Don't they just download more RAM?
well, no, actually, they get the hard drive and they insert it.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the comments.
All
You
right.
better lead the way because I can't fucking look at this map. I can't fucking see anything.
I would like to motion Ward over and offer him my arm because he seems too excited and hopeful, and I want to be able to contain him somehow.
He's very jittery, but is basically almost willing to go along with just about anything at this point. Has only caught bits and pieces of what you're saying, and you can see that he sort of had this piece of paper, but then has put it back away because it misunderstood what was the little bits of words and stuff he caught. Because I'm assuming you were kind of having that conversation without trying to involve him in it. But then, yeah, he happily links arms with you, and with the other hand, he's sort of, smoothing down his jacket and just making sure that it's tucked properly, under his belt, and that everything is good. Yep, he's ready to go, and yes, he is very excited. He just doesn't know where to direct that energy.
Well, time to play follow the leader, kiddos. We're going to the commons. Excursion time.
Let's go.
All right. I'm assuming that Brutus coming with you guys, or is it just you basically your core group of 4 with Ward? Ollie, I need that from you because Brutus is bound to you.
Yeah, Brutus is coming.
Right, Brutus is coming.
It's
So Brutus coming along. I just need to rearrange you guys on this map.
What do you mean? Haven't got enough space for 12 of it.
Look, honestly, just as long as we get you guys there, that's the main thing at the moment. Yep. So with Jake and Ward leading the way, Jake knows exactly where he's going. Heading to the commons, you get to those buildings. For the rest of you, just truncating, you see those same structures that Jake had described to him before. The one quite tall, but still in that medieval design, looking like it could be somewhere around 10, 12 stories. Like it is very tall, and strangely, you can't really see it too well from inside. And probably some system fuckery going on. But the other one is much smaller. It's around 3 or 4 stories. And there's a really nice engraved sign that says the commons between the 2 buildings. And if you look at the map, there are essentially those 2 buildings that are underneath you. It is not an area, interestingly, that was marked on your original map. And you all note that same basic ghost town feel that Jake had experienced, and see what he was describing when he was talking about how empty it was and devoid of life. Before we continue, do any of you want to do anything while we're here before Jake continues with what he's doing with Ward?
We have a nosy around.
You can if you tell me what it is you're looking for outside of that basic your basic perception levels, and what you'll see as your group is not super high.
In all the wrong places.
I'm
just having a look.
I mean, man, you can do a roll and we can see if you can find any hookers, if that's what you're aiming for. I'm not exactly sure what Pokianus is asking me.
Hey.
You look, give me a I'm assuming you're looking for signs of life. Pokianus, is that? Yeah.
Yes.
So you decide whether it's intelligence or perception, and we'll flavor that with
not
what
really
you
good
roll.
at either, so there's no saving throws as a skill roll.
You're looking at investigation or perception. I think I've got that right from memory.
Row investigation -1. Perception it is.
Yeah, investigation perception 0.
Does a nat 20 find me anything?
I would ask what that actually comes to, but you got a +0, so it's just the nat 20. Look, man, you as like seeing that Jake is really keeping a clamp on Ward's enthusiasm, you sort of make some half-assed pretense about going ahead a little bit, and getting to the area that you can see where you're heading towards based on Jake's description, and sort of quickly scouting around, looking through, you notice 2 things with a nat 20. One is that really only because you're quite tall, so really only the ground floor appears to have had any effort made for there to be furnishing. So as you're looking and sort of,
Fucking
maybe
drama
pulling yourself
props
up a little
again.
bit to that, look through those second floor windows, you notice that they're bare bones, including some of them that don't even look like they have a doorway in. The ground floor ones look like they've at least been superficially furnished really basically, and they have doors to enter into those rooms. But you notice with that nat 20 that the second level, and you would assume above, doesn't seem to have any furnishings and possibly not even any entrances. And you also notice that there doesn't seem to be any way of navigating past the first floor of these buildings.
No stairs.
There is no stairwells, internal or external. The doors seem only to enter into the rooms, and then only the bottom floor.
Right.
Fucking nat 20, Jesus Christ.
That's all I find? Come
And
on.
with that, the rest of your group catches up with you to see, Fokiona's just in the act of dropping off a window ledge, a little bit sweaty from whatever he'd been doing, and is in between those two buildings
Guys,
as Jake and B1
I
arrive.
looked around everywhere. There's no fucking stairs anywhere. No lifts, no ropes, no poles, nothing. How the
Ward
fuck
hearing this is
get
sort of
upstairs?
pulling against Jake's arm a little bit, and he's looking around going, what? This is... No, that can't be right. This is
look
very
for your
strange. There doesn't seem to be anyone here.
Unless
it
you've all got
is-
fucking wings, because you really are bees, I don't see how you get upstairs.
At this point, Jake, Ward is making an effort to actually remove his arm from yours. Do you
What, he
want to
does
try
have
and
wings?
keep a hold of him?
I want to
Or do you wanna let
intimidate him
go?
into staying with me.
Okay. Do your intimidation check then for me, please. And we will do... He'll do perception.
12.
He rolled a 10. So the wriggling and struggling, what do you do to intimidate him, just so I know how the reaction plays out? Sorry for the roll.
Imagine death staring a child when they've done something wrong.
Got it. So Ward, attempting to break his arm free, feels some resistance from you, Jake, and he just has this scattered look. He's trying to take in everything at once. He's got almost a little bit of a panicked expression from what he'd heard Fokiona's just come out with. From being, excitement is starting to turn to a mild bit of panic. But in looking around, he makes the mistake of making eye contact with you and catches just the glare and the glint in your eye and the aura of your presence, and immediately sort of quietens and he's still very jittery, but he has stopped trying to remove his arm from yours. He's still walking beside you now. He's sort of cowed a bit, but he hasn't pulled back into his shell. He's still very much kind of jittering with what's going on.
Wait, he's got a shell as well?
He's with you now, with Alia Brutus, Zachary coming along behind you guys, and Fokionis blurting out all of that info in front of you.
It's okay. We can twist this right. I would like to let him know that if something's going wrong, we need you to stay with us. If things are looking strange, like Fok has mentioned, then it's probably smart to stick with the group.
Yes, it's clearly some sort of spell that has made it look this way, I'm sure.
Could be a trap, could be anything.
Would be anything.
Do any of the places look familiar, though, to you?
Ward sort of tugs a bit on your arm, not trying to break free, but he's essentially the indication you get is that he wants to look around, move around a bit. Do you allow that, Jake?
I will go with him.
So he's No, I haven't been here before. This was promised to us. We were told to come here at the end of the dungeon, go to the commons. Our families would be there. I didn't know where the commons were. I mean, I see there's a sign. There's a sign that it's the commons, but I don't understand where everybody is. And you didn't find any blood or anything? Why would they trap? This is for families. There should be nothing here, but just people waiting for their brothers, mothers, sisters, cousins, aunts to come back. This should be a thriving uh, uh, and he's like, as he's walking along, he's opening doors, which are not locked. They swing open and kind of going in and out, and they're very superficial. They're not very deep, and he's just get this increasing anxiety and confusion as Ward works around the entire bottom floor of both of those buildings. Um, and by the time he's got to the second one, he's sort of opening and he's yelling out, he's going, Warden, Tanisha, and with the increasing like panic and concern. And in each of those rooms, as you guys are getting a look at them, and let me know if you want to investigate further, but as you're getting a look at each one, there's no clothing, there's no decorations on the wall. There's things like basic tables. Sometimes there's chairs, sometimes there's not. There's fireplaces, but there's nothing even in the fireplaces. They very much look like, from what you guys have seen and experienced in both the dreaming and in some of the areas you've seen with the dungeons, where some things have been real and some have been kind of like stage items, this seems very staged, and you are not seeing any signs of life. And Ward is picking up on that as well, as he's looking through. And just give me here, and becoming increasingly panicked and sort of wild-eyed, and just sort of every door he's opening, he's screaming the name louder and louder of his son and his wife into, and panic is very clearly rising. Even for those of you with low perception can see that. And he's now been around, drag Jake by the end of it around every bottom floor door, and he's wildly looking and sort of murmuring and mumbling about, we can't get up. What about the second story, third story? How do people get up? How do they get down? What if there's a fire? This is unsafe. Where are the families? Where's my son? Where's my wife? And he just kind of getting babbling and fretting. He's a bit of a hot mess at the moment.
Oh, Jake, I think you better do something, or that shit's gonna blow.
Before he gets to the next house, I would like to grab him and like force him to face me.
Mhm.
And I would like to give him a little shake.
Oh,
Just not a big shake, just a
big
little bitty shake.
Yep.
Panicking won't help this. We've still got a town, we can ask around, we can find out information. Just take a breath.
Give me a persuasion check.
Oh lord. Can't I just intimidate him again?
Nope, you didn't intimidate him this time.
Yeah.
You've done the stick, now you're doing the carrot. This is gentle Jake.
Can I help her with that?
19.
Oh, never mind.
If you would like to, just let me, for any of this stuff, if anyone wants to either chip in and do their own, we can look at whether you're doing your own role or whether you're assisting, and how you might be assisting. Just let me know. So are you gonna leave that role like fly with the 19, Alia, or do you or Brutus want to try and do something to add some assistance? Because you can.
I don't think Brutus growling would help very much. Just leave it as is.
Leave it as is. All right. So with a 19, let me see how he responds to your persuasion. Crap, I knew that one was probably he rolled an 8. So he calms down, he's taking a few deep breaths, he's still looking around, really, really concerned. He's like, I guess, yeah, maybe they could have gone to the market like we talked about. Like you can see things are reforming from things he already said previously, not any of the rest of you. they could be maybe they needed food, maybe they needed some furniture. I mean, there's not even any furniture in some of those rooms, and um, possibly they went to see about getting some stairs or things so the other families can get up to the second story. Where are those other families? And you can see him starting to now go back into the just the early stages of that downward spiral.
Well, what if they had to move for some reason, so the AI had to fix up things, but they left the houses here so they could come back?
That maybe, maybe, but the commons is where we're supposed to be. And as normal, like you've previously seen these conversations with NPCs and the words like AI and things mentioned, and just slides over them. And you see that same slide, like he doesn't even recognize, show any recognition of that term that you'd used. It seems to be a blind spot. Um, from what you've noticed so far with the NPCs, and we have had that conversation previous, so that's information that you guys have available to you. Um, uh, Maybe it seems this is you have to admit this is very strange. I mean, I appreciate you being so calm and you bringing me here, but this is wrong. Something's not right.
Maybe they had to move them to the uncommons, which is also not here, somewhere else,
What
you know.
where are they? What are the uncommons?
I don't know, but maybe that's where they are.
Don't understand. Are they there or are they not there?
Well, we could look for it, but you know, we might not find it because it's not very common. It's uncommon.
So confused.
That's right, me too.
Jake, where are they? Thank you for helping me look, but can you see? Is there a trail? Is there? My son is only like he holds my hands like about just shy of Alia's height is where he's sort of holding his hand up, next to Alia without being in her face. Um, he's the most beautiful little boy. He's got short black hair. He's very promiscuous. You'll hear him before you see him. I told you about my wife. She's probably like we're not very rich. She's probably quite plainly dressed, but maybe you can hear her singing. She's a beautiful singing voice. She's trying to teach our son to sing, but he doesn't pay attention all that much. He's of the swords and the sticks and he's sort of off, and you can see him starting to dip again, looking around at this empty area, and he's now, if you've still got a hold of him, he is sinking, like his weight is dropping to kind of sit slash kneel slash squat on the ground in between those two buildings.
For fuck's sake.
Yeah, did someone say for fuck's sake?
Should
Don't do it for me. You do it because you want to do it.
should we just wait for them to come back? Do you? I'm happy to wait here if it's okay with you. I can stay, and I can just wait for them to come back, and I can come back and let you know. Maybe I can bring them back to the safe room. I can bring them back to Mort's
I'd
when
like
they
to drop down to his level while he's talking and rest another hand, just a single hand this time, on his shoulder.
Mhm.
How about we do something useful instead, and we ask some of the people in running the shops, ask if they've seen them. Maybe ask about the commons. Because I
Can be uncommon.
send a glare towards Fogg.
Fuck or off. I'll stop helping.
um it just takes you about. Yeah, that sounds good. Should I come with you? Should I go to some of the shops? Can you spare me a map, or I can just ask around, or do we all go to a different shop, or do we go together, or do I wait, or um, how can what?
Right. Dude, that's way too much planning for this group.
We don't plan that much. It just makes our brains hurt.
Uh, um, okay, okay. Uh, I'm kind of at your mercy. What? I just want to find my family. They should be here.
Well, they're not.
I know.
Do cheeseburger to help with them feelings.
Cheeseburger. Oh my god.
Hesitantly takes it from you and he's holding his hand.
I'll look at him and go, bro, you gonna eat
Manners
that?
says thank
'Cause,
you.
if you're not gonna eat it, fucking. I'm just
You go,
saying.
no,
It's
of
grim.
course, Mr. Fokionis. I don't have. I'm sorry, little one. I don't have much appetite. I'm maybe later. And he's handed you the burger, so he appreciated it from earlier, and then politely handed on to
That's all good,
Fokionis.
bro. I mean, AIs don't really eat. Oh, fuck.
He's still completely like that. Just slides across. It doesn't. There's no registering. He sort of looks at you a little bit. Is it too hot? It didn't seem too
Yeah,
hot.
there's no sauce. It's not barbecue. Oh, I don't know.
He's back up off the ground now. Seems to have sort of come to a bit more of calmness with a bit of a. He's a bit confused still, but a calmness to him with what you have proposed there, Jake. With a bit of a plan that got a bit jumbled, but you definitely proposed something that seemed to indicate action. I just saw Alia drop out. Don't blow my eardrums.
Oh, joy. I'll just get a button ready.
Yeah, thanks. So,
I mean,
what would you like to do?
I push the button with that. Like.
I think we should try and take him to Mish.
Ooh, yeah, good call.
And there's some gears turning in Jake's head after Fock blurted out the AI thing, and he just didn't seem to care. Like,
doesn't
Ward
know.
did not.
It's like
pay
fucking Bruce
attention.
Willis all over again.
No, there was 100% no reaction. You caught that. Oh, yep, got her. Thank you. She's back in.
Well,
All
sort
right.
of.
So is that where the rest of you guys are going? So you're around midday at the moment.
Oh, she's gone again. Oh no.
So we're around midday. You definitely know Mish's shop should be open. Is that where you guys consensus was? Is that where you're all heading, or is Jake heading off with Ward on his own?
I'll probably try to pick Ward up and then motion to the others that, like, follow us. We're going this way now. Herding the chaos.
Yes, we shouldn't put him back.
All right, I'll check with Race when she gets back. For the moment, I'm going to assume her and Brutus are following, but they may have other plans, so we'll deal with them as we get to them. Zachary and Fokionis, Jake, you've managed to just sort of, without any real effort, slide your arm back into Ward's without resistance. He's kind of come back up and seems he's definitely still, he's not the same as he was when you left the safe room, but there's a bit of purpose in his step again, and he is quite happy to walk along with you.
Dope.
And the Fokionis and Zachary, are you guys following along?
Yes.
Cheers for Racer. Much excitement.
I thought that would be
Hopefully
less loud than
hopefully
the
it
horn.
lasts this time. All right, I need to.
Yeah, I'm
get
following.
Race to kill him.
Oh.
Oh, really?
Ooh.
Right.
She's developed a taste for Cat 5e.
It's not letting me bring you back in to the OBS at the moment. Oh, lost her again. That's probably why.
No.
All right. So Jake and Ward heading off, and then the rest of you following along behind your motley crew. You can see that, like, as you guys are navigating the streets, I know you're mainly focusing in on Ward and what you're kind of trying to achieve here. But you do notice that there seems to be more bustle in the streets. There's definitely more people, players and otherwise, that are out and about. It seems like more groups with more days that have now passed are completing their dungeon. You haven't yet received any episode recaps, or you haven't received any notifications of dungeons ending. But that doesn't really seem to have established a pattern for you yet, because you've been here, such a short time. But the world between is definitely getting more lively than what it was before. As you make your way across, you do it without incident. No one's bothering you. You're not getting as many strange looks as you were before, with possibly the exception of Alia, who is still a strange sight for most people, it seems, who do double takes, especially now that there is a large hound just dutifully trotting at her hip that is taller than she is. But you make your way without incident, and the shop is open and heading into the Mishmash Merchants. The door does its now quite familiar ding as you enter, letting Mish know that you're here. And you head up to the counter and find her there. As she sees you guys and recognizes you, especially those that she has known longer than others, she has the biggest smile on her face. The little impish goblin is very excited to see you all. Yeah.
I think I found the problem.
Yes. That is it. Yep. I think it's dropped out so many times, Racer. I can't actually bring you back in. It's not letting me.
Quick, you must have speech to text on screen with camera. Quick.
Yeah, so I'm sorry. I might actually start the desktop audio in the hope that it catches this in the recording, but I can't guarantee it because last time it didn't.
Sorry,
I'm
we only
sorry.
got 10 minutes. It's not like it was
Yeah,
an
10
hour
minutes
like last
absolute
time.
tops. Yeah, exactly. 10 minutes absolute tops. All right, so Mish is, huge smiles. What can I do to help? And who's this? Pleasure to meet you. I'm Mish. Introduces herself
Wait,
to
we ended
Ward.
up
Who's
at
sort of going,
Mish. Okay.
What's
yeah.
that? We ended up at interview,
So
okay?
Jake indicated that would be, why not try there as a next step without saying too much. I'm guessing so the Ward didn't overhear, but that's Jake's motivation, not mine, to guess that too much. And you've headed over. You guys can stay around if you and Brutus want. Racer, I'm happy for you guys to do that. I just didn't know exactly, so I kept you with the group. So if you guys want to poke around or do something else, let me know and I will move you guys
No,
back.
I'm good because I'll probably cut out.
Okay, Alia, that's good that you're going to stay here with us. Awesome.
All right, so very excited Mish, who's introduced herself to Ward. Ward's introduced himself to Mish. And she looks him up and he so interesting. He's not a crawler. Don't see your kind out of the dungeons too much. Welcome. What can I do? And he sort of, you can see a tree, like the cogs are turning, but she's not exactly sure what's going on. But she's still very happy to see you all.
What? This is Mish. As you can see, she is a shopkeeper here.
Yes.
I'm going to have a brief talk with her. If you'd like to just maybe stick with Fokiotis or Zach and just have a look at some of her wares while I just let her know the situation.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank
bro.
you.
You stand with me over here.
This is an amazing shop, and it seems to be a bit distracted a bit, and he's poking around and having a look through the very orderly section and then the
Quite
messy
lots of stuff
section.
here.
But yeah, he's happy to poke around. Well, is anyone else going with, whether Jake wants it to or not? Is anyone else following along for this? Yep. Okay. Fokionis is definitely joining.
This guy.
Zachary, are you staying with Ward? Are you heading with Alia? With Jake and Mish?
Yeah. Going with Jake and
To
Mish.
which one of those?
Yep, and we'll suss with Racer which way she wants to go. I'll assume for the moment that she's continuing along with you guys. So just Mish just takes you guys back through, opens a little door, no shimmer to it. Takes you guys back, and there's seems like this is a basic workroom. There are a couple of doors going off it, but this is sort of like an office, semi-office, semi-workroom. Nothing really too exciting on display. There's a couple of bits and pieces that look like she's in the middle of repairing, but none of them are, giving off any particular exciting vibes. It just seems very mundane. And she closes the door behind her. How did you end up with a dungeon NPC, and why is he here, and what is going on?
So Ward is a dungeon NPC. We met him in the dungeon. Well, they met him in a dungeon, brought him back out and everything. He started talking about his family and the commons and actually like stuff before the dungeon. Talked to Mort.
Really?
Mort was like, "Oh, you should help him." Wink, wink. So we took him over to the commons, and I'm sure you're aware of the state of the commons. Also, love your hair today. Great, looks brilliant. But anyway, he's having a mild panic attack because he's missing his wife and his son Warden. You know, Warden. It's a great naming method out here for the NPCs.
If Warden has a son, does that make his name Wardening? Wardener?
Trying not to make him panic completely. Our best option to stop him from panicking after the commons was to suggest coming to the shops and things, and you seemed nice, so I hate to dump it on you. But do you know anything about this situation?
Oh, that's a lot. And as she's doing it, you see that Mish is sort of just, she's retightening her ponytail and the hair's pulled back underneath the goggles. But thank you. And seems to be quite chuffed that with the compliment, get the impression she probably doesn't seem to get a whole lot. But
Whole lot of what?
after at compliments,
All right, just check.
after giving us something, well, that's really hard. The first thing is that anything that you can do or get him to think or make him aware of is going to really fuck with the AI, and we hate that prick. So bravo. But as for me, like none of the crawlers can help with this. We can't overstep the boundary and try and explain to an NPC where they sit. That goes against our boundaries, but you can. I guess maybe try. Oh, and she's thinking. Hang on, let me see. Oh wow, she rolled really well. Um, maybe try to persuade him by getting him to think. See if he can think back on the things he remembers, the details of his family, and if you can find a chink, see if you can persuade him of what he really is. See what you can unlock. See what you can pick at the seams of till you find a chink. This is new territory. This is a rare opportunity. And I don't fully understand how you managed to convince. Anyway, that doesn't help. Yeah, that would be my suggestion. If you have anyone in your group that has a spell that might calm him or help his intelligence, maybe I don't know. I'm not a magic isn't spells aren't really my thing. That was what Mish can give you from her role.
Well, just do you think he's going to explode if he finds out? Just because
Might
if so, I might take him outside to convince him.
So looks a bit as in like boom, blood guts explode.
Yeah. I don't know how something like that would work here in this simulation.
No, he's a fully functional construct. If you cut him, he'll bleed. If you autopsy him, you'll see all of the looks out. Yes, he's definitely human. All of the human parts should be intact, constructed, working. He definitely will not explode, but his brain might break. This is uncharted territory, but you may end up with a sort of semi-comatose or unconscious or maybe dead, but he definitely won't explode.
Didn't think this was gonna be the way that I was gonna break a man, but oh well. Thank you for the advice.
Thanks, Mish.
That's okay. I wish I could do more, but this is very strange territory you're walking, but exciting.
Your goggles really bring out your eyes. And then I'd like to walk off.
Thank you. And she takes them off and cleans them as you're walking out. She's cleaning them and sort of looking at us, the reflection in there. Puts them back on, puts them sits back over the top of her head. Doesn't seem to really register that she didn't have the goggles on. So took the compliment. The flattery certainly resonated. All right, so heading back out, Ward is just poking through the shelves and like every now and then lifting up like a shovel or an axe and having a closer look at it and putting it back, being very careful to put it back where he found it. Sees you guys come out and quickly hurries over. So what did you find out? Did she know? Does she know anything? Does she know where did the families move? Have they been relocated? Anything? Is the uncommons a
So,
thing? Was it the uncommons? Have they gone to the uncommons?
no, just calm down, breathe.
There was uncommons.
So Mish is also kind of new to the area. Definitely not lying. But she
Finish what you're saying.
suggested that we think back and see if there's anything that might let us know where they might have gone. If you can remember, like some of your memories of them, or things that they liked or things that they wanted, their goals in life.
Okay. Can you give me a deception check? I'll give it to you with advantage because you've actually built a lot of rapport with Ward at the moment, but you have just told him a porky about Mish.
You can take a 15.
Yeah, 15. Like you sort of seem kind of slightly frown, but moves over it. Doesn't really give it too much more thought, and is very much focusing on the rest of what you've said. I think that sounds like a good idea. Maybe we can figure out where they've gone. Maybe I'm just forgetting something. And with that, we've hit midnight, and on the precipice of seeing what happens next with Ward, that's where we're going to finish up.
Oh, come on. I wanted to see if he'd go boom.
I'm very interested to see where this goes next. But it is midnight, and I didn't anticipate we would be here 2 hours later, so I'm definitely not going to commit us to any more time on the on this when I definitely don't want to anyone to feel like you have to rush any of this to get what you're trying to achieve out of it either. So we will stop the stream there. It being this late, I'm not going to raid out. I'm just going to peace. So thank you everyone who's hung out through the stream, had a chat, watched. And if you want to see the rest of what happens after this for the chat we have afterwards, check out the YouTube VOD and all the other content that's there. But until next time, peace out. Love you all. Thanks for the hang. And the video should be up in the next 48 hours. Bye. Oh, wow. I'm glad I had so many notes written because I did not expect some of the directions that you took that. That was so fun.
I mean, come on.
I wasn't expecting to be talking this much during this session. I was expecting to be no coffee Jake, and then you brought up Ward and his family.
Well, you fell asleep on him. He felt comfortable enough to worked up the courage to ask for some help with you hanging out with him. So go Jake. The bee burrito opened up a whole other thing. Very cool.
I'm gonna leave
That
before
was
my
awesome.
internet cuts out again.
No worries. Look, I'm sorry it
You
was so
mean?
janky. I'm hoping that that
We'll
one of
definitely blame the cat.
the desktop channels that I've got will catch you
He is-
at least enough that I can include your audio in.
I
We need
don't
to
think
get
it was
that.
the cat. I think my I think it's my NBN box.
Yeah, I still
Oh,
can't
really?
hear Miss Racer.
Neither can I.
Oh,
Oh,
really?
What the fuck?
I can.
There's definitely some weird
Shenanigans.
shit going on there.
Yeah, I'm
then.
going.
She's
Bye.
probably talking shit
All
about
right.
us, really.
See you, mate. Hopefully it's all sorted for next week.
Bye.
Oh, man.
Weird. I
Dude,
don't
this
understand
ghost,
why
can't
you guys
hear.
couldn't hear her then.
Yeah, that's a bit bizarre. But like, I will say that OBS just stopped letting me put her in. Whether it was because it was so many times, I don't know. But it
You're
just
trying
got
to
the shits
like,
and
how
went,
do you when you do that? Like, do you just refresh the input like on the source for them?
yeah, so I just basically went in, wipe it out, and put the new one in. Because sometimes it was changing and other times
Mm.
it was staying the same. So sometimes the numeric code was different. Like I just looked at it now and the current one, like the latest one for her before she exited, I copied it and it was different to the previous one I had. But then for a bunch of other ones, like when she kept actually joining and appearing, it was obviously persisting with whatever that hang time was
Mm.
with the code.
Yeah.
So she was just coming straight back in and she was coming in on OBS. And then even a couple of the dropouts, like I put the new one in and she came back up. But after about the fourth or fifth, OBS just gave me basically, the 2 for the valley and went, nah.
Yeah. No, yeah.
So I did add some desktop audio channels just after we had some of these issues last time when the cats tackled her internet cord. So I hopefully I've got her audio. But I feel for her because it was coming in and out so much. Like she was basically playing a teleportation game where she'd come back in and
Yeah.
the last when she left, it was poor bugger. It was you're in the ghost town commons, and then she comes back in and misses shop. Like, oh, wait, what? Feel for her.
Yeah, because normally it's a persistent link from week to week for us in the like source input, like coming out of the video, or no?
Now yours persists.
Yes, but
Everybody
no one else.
else's, it persists like obviously through the session.
Yeah,
But if
yeah.
someone drops out, I don't know exactly how long, but after a certain period, that link when they come back in, they've got a new link, which I learnt from a few weeks ago when Race's internet kittens were tackling the internet cord, and it went out for like 5 or 6 minutes, and I didn't realize and didn't put it back in. And Egg, you still haven't gotten Zachary around all the shops, mate. You still haven't gotten to go and browse all those wares that you've been sussing out, but he hasn't had the opportunity to yet.
Yeah, so there's still time, I guess. Yeah, I better head to bed now.
Yeah, I'm gonna bail as well. Time for
Yeah,
this little
good
black
night.
duck to hit the hay.
Thanks
That
for
was
the
good
game.
fun, guys.
See
See
ya.
yous. That was fun.
Good
See you
night.
next week.
Right.
Bye.